Nut Nerd Podcast, episode 238, Cancel Culture.
Welcome to the Nut Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, a very excited Mr. Dave Baylor.
Well, hello, my friend. Yes, I am excited because we spoke for just a moment before we started the show. Usually we have a lot of time to talk and catch up, and we went right into it today. So I'm happy to see you. These
Yes.
long breaks between connecting are kind of getting on my nerves a little bit.
Yes, this is true. Well, let's get into it. We've got plenty of good tech stuff to talk about today. Some
do.
follow-up, as I mentioned last week on our special WWDC coverage of Apple's developer conference, that we would probably learn some more things over the week, which we did. And one of the things that I had seen that day, but I believe I forgot to bring it up, is they're going to allow you in iOS to change the default email and browser apps. So when you currently, and since the beginning of the iPhone, you could use the Apple Mail app, and Safari is your default browsers. Well, they are going to allow other email programs and browsers. I think they're going to, from some discussion, even with Craig Federighi from Apple, it sounds like they're going to kind of approve these apps. So anybody in the App Store can't, they've got some dumb game and they're going to say they're the default browser. But I think this is very exciting. It's something people have asked for a long time. I don't use the Mail app, so if I can switch over to the Gmail app, that would be great. I just use Safari as my browser, so that wouldn't change, but it would give people the options they've been looking for.
Yeah, as we've discussed, I use the Brave browser, and I've been trying to make it front and center in my main browser, so I'll be excited to be able to set that as the default. And with my mail application, I use Gmail as well, and I do sometimes use Spark, which is a very good mail client from Readle. We've talked about them in the past. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Nice. Another thing that the IDFA is dead, which I did not know what the IDFA was.
Yeah, what is that?
It's the identifier for advertisers. This is what allowed advertisers to be able to do some tracking, a unique number to you, so between apps and things that they could track better. Well, it is going to now, when you install the app, much like allow location services or that sort of thing, it'll say allow tracking or ask app not to track. So this is for, advertisers and marketers. This is a big thing now that it's up front. You could always turn it off, but it was buried in settings. Now, when you install an app, it'll say, do you want to let this app do it? So a lot of apps are going to be, and advertisers are going to be hurting after this kicks in with iOS 14.
And consumers, I think, just really need to realize how much work and effort, and this is going to sound like an Apple commercial, but how much work and effort Apple goes through to protect its consumers. I mean, on the Android platform, guess who owns that? Google. Guess who wants to put advertising and trackers on every single person? Google. Yeah. So Apple's standing up to the industry and saying, stop tracking these people. If it weren't for them, we would have absolutely zero protection. Facebook is out to get us. Google's out to get us. Every advertiser of every company and ad agency is out to get us. Apple seems to be the only one who stands up and says, no, not on my watch. We're going to protect consumers. I wish more companies would behave this way.
Yeah, it is. They are leading the forefront, which does cause Google to look at this stuff too, because people do compare. And speaking of which, there was an article I saw from Android Authority, which, as you can guess, is a Android website that covers all things Android. And they wrote this article: iPhone 6S getting iOS 14 is like the Galaxy S6 getting Android 11. Imagine that. So this is basically an article. It starts off saying, at this point, saying Android has a serious problem when it comes to phones receiving reliable Android upgrades is getting old. And just showing how poorly Most Android phones maybe get one operating system update if it's not an actual Google phone. Samsung tries to do better, but the Samsung Galaxy S6 that was mentioned in the headline was released in 2015, so 5 years ago. The most recent official version of Android that phone received was Android 7 Nougat, and we're now going into Android 11. So 4 years. So it basically got one system update if your carrier allowed that update. So we don't want to rag on Android, but there's just some serious issues there with getting upgrades to have modern features.
Yeah, comparing apples to apples, pun intended, the same aged device, the iPhone 6S, can run the latest operating system.
Yeah.
And the new one will support it as well, correct? That's what the article's saying, 14. I mean, it's incredible how long these devices from Apple are being supported. My wife still uses the 6S, and part of the reason is because Apple still supports that device. If Apple said no and left it behind a generation or two, we would have upgraded by now, because we like to integrate our devices and our services together as a family so that we can, share calendars and contacts and all those things. And it works best when you all are running the most latest operating system. So, yeah, it's actually costing them money because we didn't upgrade her phone. You know what I mean?
That's true. Another interesting thing that we talked about, the Tile suing Apple because they're trying to block them out. We still haven't seen these magical AirTags that are rumored to be released, but the Find My app is getting third-party support. So the Find My, which is Find My iPhone, Find My Friends combined, keep track of all your devices, where they're at, it's getting third-party support. So if they meet the stipulations, they can be part of the Find My app, which everybody is saying this is them saying, hey, Tile, you can be part of this. You just have to do things, according to our, again, security and privacy standards, and you can be part of the Find My app. So I think this is a good thing, and it also pretty much just negates that lawsuit from Tile.
Yeah, certainly took the wind out of their sails. And interestingly enough, I was, reading these articles and playing around with my Tile this week, preparing for the show, and two of my devices are ready for replacement because the batteries are running out, and all of Tile's new devices, with the exception of a couple really cheap ones, have replaceable batteries now. And so I've been thinking, well, do I upgrade or do I wait for Apple's product to come out? What do I do? Knowing that they will work with Find My, provided Tile does the work to make them compatible, then it might be a safe bet to go ahead and upgrade my Tiles because they'll continue to work with the Apple ecosystem. So I kind of wish Apple would have given us some more information about the product that they're supposedly releasing at the Worldwide Developer Conference, but they didn't, and that's okay. And when it comes down to it, these devices are really not that expensive for the service that they provide.
Yeah.
So it's worth the money.
Yes. And one thing that Apple does security and privacy well. They do products well, but they also do accessibility very well. And iOS 14 has a new feature called sound recognition that can notify users about important sounds like fire alarms and doorbells. So for someone that is hard of hearing, or I heard somebody talking on a podcast, if they're playing games with headphones on, they could get a little vibration on their Apple Watch saying, hey, the front doorbell just rang, or hey, there's a fire alarm going off. And I did see some people that were kind of playing around with this. There's, fire alarm, siren, smoke alarm, cat, dog, other noises, running water, baby crying, shouting. So if you're not aware, if you're wearing AirPods Pro and you have noise canceling on, you could get a notification that these things are happening. So while it's for accessibility, it could have a lot of real world uses for a lot of people, and it looks like it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that out. I couldn't find any situations really that I thought might be useful, but I was looking through the list of things that you just mentioned, and I can see a lot of people taking advantage of this, especially like the doorbell and stuff. If you're like in another room or, like you said, immersed in your headphones, it'd be nice to have that turned on.
Nice. Well, those are just some of the other things we've learned over the week, and I'm sure as the things get closer. But Dave, you took one for the team. Your phone is currently running iOS 14 beta.
It is. I didn't want to leak out the secret,
Yes.
but just like Apple, this whole time I've been running iOS 14, just like their machines were running the latest version of Big Sur on the
Yes.
new hardware that they're going to be releasing this fall. Yes, iOS 14 is working quite well on my iPad and my iPhone, and I have not put Big Sur on my computer yet. And a little pro tip there. Use an external hard drive or repartition your computer's internal hard drive and install Big Sur or the betas
Yeah.
on a different partition. That way you can boot into the beta and use it and figure it out and play around with it. But if it just is terrible, you can always boot back into your regular operating system, so where all your files and everything are. And of course, we all know that one backup is none backup. So all of
True.
you out there who would even experiment with this would have a backup anyway, so it really wouldn't matter, is what I'm saying.
Yes.
But next month, the public betas will be coming out, and you too will have the opportunity to install these very flaky pieces of software on your devices. But so far, so good. And I haven't tried out all the features yet, but each day I'm exploring a little bit farther. And so if you guys have any questions about how something works specifically, I can test it out and get back with you.
Well, we do have some other follow-up. There was other news besides just Apple last week. Wyze, who we love their cameras, you have several of them, very low-priced security cameras and devices that they have. They have launched a $50 wire-free outdoor camera, which, Dave, I know that at work you installed the not wire-free versions of these, and if you would have known about these ones, you might have held off. It's an outdoor security camera. It's got a battery in it, works over wireless, as many of them do, for $50. Did you get a chance to look at these and see if you might have some in your future?
Yeah, I almost pulled the trigger on buying one just to test it out. And as far as I know, they're just available on their website, not on Amazon.
Oh, gotcha.
Kind of the trick there is if you buy them through Amazon, you can get Amazon Prime shipping. And so they can be a little bit cheaper. If you buy them on their website, you have to pay for the shipping. Sometimes it's the same because they're like $20 on the website and $25 on Amazon or whatever. But as I was looking at it, the kit comes with one camera, 2 batteries, and then kind of a little Wi-Fi
base
wireless
station
base
thing.
station.
Yes.
And the base station works with a number, maybe 2 or more, I can't remember, of cameras. And so you need to consider that when you're setting these up. But in my situation, I like that the ones that I have set up are on continuous power. I kind of cringe at climbing on top of the building every couple of months to replace batteries. So having continuous power ones that I have installed now work, I think, in my favor. The sad thing about these outdoor versions that just came out is that you cannot connect them to continuous power. They have to have the battery. So, but for my home, I thought about testing them out so I can just stick them somewhere, like up in the porch or something like that, where I can easily grab them and change the battery. It would be really handy. So sight unseen, I would recommend these to people because I'm sure they're going to work great. They're certainly worth every penny you're going to pay for them. So if you're interested in having a wireless outdoor camera, take a look at these.
Yes. Yeah, they are. And they say 3 to 6 months on a charge. And you do need that base station to be able to make it all work. But another great looking product from Wyze. We've been talking over the weeks about, Twitter and Facebook, and they keep trying to add these new features to help things out. Well, I like this one because I catch a lot of people doing this. They'll post some article and they go, I can't believe this just happened. And then you look at it, and as soon as you click on the article, the date says, oh, it was 2.5 years ago. And it's like, well, that's why you didn't hear about this today, because it happened 2.5 years ago. So Facebook is rolling out where it will show users a pop-up warning before they share an outdated story.
This is fantastic.
Yes, this is just one of those features. And you might want to be sharing an old story if it was some great old review on notnerd.com or something like that. But just to give people that critical thinking that we seem to be in such short supply of these days on social media, it's one more little thing that could really help some people out and cause them to think about that, which hopefully will train them to think about that in more areas of their lives.
Yes, I agree. Imagine someone posts something about this new virus that has come out of
Yes.
Wuhan, China, and are like, no, another one? It's like, oh, no, this is from a year ago. What the
Yeah,
heck?
yeah. Well, and I've even seen COVID-19 posts where it's like, oh my goodness, this is happening in this place. And I'm like, yes, in March that happened. This is not a current
Yeah.
current story. So
Yeah, please read the articles before you repost them, people, not
Yes.
just the headline.
yes, please. And Facebook has another feature that's rolling out, which is very pertinent in the United States this time of year. They will allow users to turn off political ads.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Now, the problem side I see of it is if there is some great candidate in your state that you could vote for that is only doing Facebook marketing, obviously you wouldn't see them. But the onslaught of political ads that we're about to see, this is really going to be a nice feature where you can, hey, at least maybe on the weekends you toggle off political ads to take a break, or if you need a break from them, you've got everything figured out. You don't need to know anything else. But they have the Facebook advertising. We could do a whole episode on the stuff going on there where like Coca-Cola and all these big companies are pulling out of Facebook ads, but then you find out they're still doing Instagram ads, but they're protesting some of Facebook's choices on things. And
Yeah.
it is stuff that I didn't even put a link to that stuff in the show notes just because it's crazy stories going on there.
Well, instead of taking a break over the weekend or something like that, do what I do and just take a break from Facebook altogether.
Yes. Yeah. Log in.
Go in there
I always
once
know
every couple weeks.
Yeah, I know when Dave logs in because he likes all the Not Nerd posts and comments on something I've posted, and then gets back to a normal life.
Yeah.
We've talked. I use YouTube TV for my live TV service. You don't necessarily have a live TV service. You do everything
Just over the air.
Yeah, over the air and then streaming. Well, there's been some reports that Amazon is looking to add live TV to Prime Video. So it would, be some monthly charge where you would get the live channels, some local channels, very similar to many other services out there. Hulu's got one, YouTube TV, Sling. I've looked at them all. There's a couple other ones, but I do like the idea of this because I have Amazon Prime, which includes Amazon Prime Video, so maybe it would be cheaper than YouTube. I think I pay $50 a month for YouTube TV, but if Amazon can come and say, hey, for $35 a month and have a lot of the same features, I think that could be pretty good.
That's why competition is good, because
Yes.
we want all of these players to offer similar packages so that we can choose the one that has the best features and that's the most affordable. So I hope they can make it work.
I do too. And this last piece of follow-up, we mentioned, I don't know, it was a couple months ago that Google had this new photo print service where you pay like $8 a month and they would choose like 10 photos from your photo albums on Google Photos and print them and send them to you. Well, they have, after listening to subscriber feedback, they are canceling this service, which just makes sense. Why anybody would do this, I didn't see any examples of it, but I guess people are saying, I would never print this picture in a million years. It's expensive. You get these random 10 photos. There is some novelty to it, but at $8 a month, the chance, I take 1,000 photos and Google's going to pick 8 to send me a printed copy.
There are a couple things were wrong with this. Is one, the price was too high and the number of photos was too low.
Yeah.
If this were $5 a month and you got like 50 photos or even 25 photos, it might make it worth it. Just kind of I spend $5 a month on McDonald's or whatever.
Yeah.
I might as well just get some of my photos. And if 5 of them are good or, even a couple are good, it was worth it. But yes, the price is too high and the number of photos is too low. This was dead on arrival as far as I was concerned.
Yes. Well, what's never dead on arrival? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Well, friends, I searched high and low and I was going to talk about something else, but today I thought this is something that I am learning kind of for the first time, even though I kind of knew about this and I was trying it out and I was like, where have you been all my life? And so hopefully for iPhone and iPad users or even Mac users, I should say for Apple ecosystem users.
Yes.
This tip is going to be hopefully very helpful to you. Now, we all have a love-hate relationship with Siri. She will do what we want sometimes. Sometimes she won't understand us. Sometimes she works perfectly and we're like, oh, this is magic. I can't believe this. Well, hopefully this tip will help you use Siri a little bit better. Now, Nate, maybe you knew this, maybe you didn't. Were you aware that you can say, hey, Siri, remind me about this, that she will remind you about the very thing you're looking at? For example, if you're on a calendar or in your clock or in your contacts or in your health settings or in a map or a web page, for example. Let me give you a real world example of how this works. You have to be using Apple's mail program. And we just talked earlier that you're going to be able to set your default to something else. So this probably won't work in third-party apps. But if you're in Apple's mail program and you're on an email, let's say it's from Nate Heath from yesterday who says, check out this great mustache wax. And I'm like, wow, I really want to remember this tomorrow when I'm going to be shopping online. So I have a couple choices. I can go into the Reminders app and set a reminder and then go back into my mail and I'll try to find the email or I can put it in some folder. I could do a bunch of complicated things, right? Or I could copy it into like Pocket or some read later service or whatever. But something simply that you can do is just say, remind me about this tomorrow at 3 p.m. And the this part is the magic. If you're on that email message, it'll put the subject of the email and a link back to the email in the reminder. So when the reminder pops up on your screen and you tap it, you just click the link, it opens up mail, and the message is right there for you to use. This works in calendar, clocks, contacts, iBooks, health, mail, maps, messages, notes, numbers, pages, phone, podcasts, the Reminders app itself, and last but not least, Safari. I mean, this is fantastic. I'm in a mail message. I'm on a web page. The web page is the big one, right?
Yeah.
So somebody sends you a web page and says, check out this web page to buy a mustache wax at 25% off, right? You open up the web page and again, you're faced with, how do I save this? A lot of people will go and they will copy the link and they will email it to themselves because they know how to search in their email. This is just preposterous. What you should do is just, you're on that website, you say, remind me about this, any given time. Or you can even say, add this to my reminder list. You don't have to do a time and date. So anyway, dig into this. There's an article I linked. It's actually from 2015. This has been around forever, and I really didn't know about it. And so I was playing around with it a lot today, and it was just working left and right. And now there are some caveats. You kind of have to say it the way it wants to say it, and it doesn't work, like I said, in every Apple application, and it won't work in third-party applications. But give it a try. See if it works for you.
I will definitely 100% be doing this and did not realize that. And I use Apple Reminders all the time, and I send myself emails of links all the time. And so to be able to kind of filter all that stuff into the same place and just have it in a consistent spot where I know I need to go look at things that I need to do or set a time. Because, I can be out and about. I see something on Twitter. I click a link. It's like, oh, I'd love to read this article. I don't have time now. Hey, remind me to do it tonight or tomorrow morning.
And even better, Nate, you can say, let's say you're at some client's office and you're doing some work for them and you come across an article on a website. You can say, remind me about this when I get home.
Oh, yeah.
If it knows where you live because your contact card has your home address, when you drive into your driveway, it's going to pop up on your screen. So you can customize this. You can set a date and time. You can set location, or you can even say, when I leave this area, remind me to do this thing or whatever. So the world is your oyster when it comes to having Siri remind you about, quote, this.
That might be the best pro tip of the week ever. Thank you very much for that.
You are welcome.
Well, let's move on to our takes of the week. This should come as a surprise to no one who has ever been near one or gone into one, but Microsoft is permanently closing its retail stores as they rethink their retail strategy, which means they're just going to sell stuff on websites because they were spending way too much money for stores that were not working.
Yeah, I think you can remember about a year ago I was down in California, and I think I talked about on the podcast about the Apple Store, or maybe I just told you, but there was an Apple Store, it's a beautiful Apple Store, and then across the street in this little kind of shopping area was the Microsoft Store. The Apple Store was bustling with people. It looked like a work of art. It was brilliant, innovative glass doors and stuff. And then Microsoft was just kind of, a Microsoft store. The only people in the store were kids playing Xbox.
Nice.
There was nobody else in the store, and a bunch of employees who were standing around. Hey, can I help you do something? Yeah. Not really.
No,
just the Xboxes are taken.
Oh man, yeah. So that should be no surprise. Another Microsoft story. I think we actually talked about this a couple months. They were starting their new Mixer game streaming service, and they stole Ninja over.
Yeah, Ninja went over.
Well, they are shutting down Mixer and partnering with Facebook Gaming. So Mixer did not last. Twitch is the king. YouTube has gaming. Facebook has gaming, obviously.
Facebook Gaming, what's this? I don't even know what this is.
I have it set up. I shouldn't say this out loud because I've never gotten around to doing it. My Candy Crushin' Facebook page, I set it up one night. I was looking at the Facebook Gaming where I could start streaming my Candy Crush playing, and I just have never gotten around to doing it because I have other things that are more important to do. But they do have a gaming built into Facebook, which again, Facebook just puts every service out there, and just about everybody's already on Facebook. So I actually do every once in a while in my feed, it'll show, hey, who's streaming right now? Go watch this person play Fortnite or whatever the game du jour is. And but yeah, Twitch is still really the king of this. And but yeah, I thought I would just mention that if any of you guys are big Mixer streamers, that you won't be able to do that anymore.
Well, I think the only person anybody ever watched on Mixer was Ninja, and so I wonder if he's regretting a little bit. You know what? I take that back. They paid him a ton of money to move over to Mixer, so he regrets nothing.
Yes, he's wiping his tears with piles of $100 bills on his bed made out of $1,000 bills. This is a big story that kind of erupted, I guess, 2 weeks ago, and we didn't really talk about it, and then it's kind of gone back and forth. There's a new email app, and maybe we did mention that it was announced, called Hey, and it is from the people that made Basecamp, which is a very popular kind of team task management software, and they were reinventing email. So they created this email app, and you pay a yearly fee to get an email address from them. You can't use your own email address, and they have all these features built into it because they completely control the email address that was supposed to give you all the features you ever wanted. I actually heard Leo Laporte was talking about it on one of his podcasts this week. He got an invite, and he's been playing around with it. So, you start getting emails at your address, and there's basically like a thumbs up, thumbs down for what you want in your inbox. Everything else, it'll go into the screened folder. And they built in all of these features. Well, they released it for iOS, and then they had a little update that they wanted to push through, just some bug updates a couple days later. Well, Apple rejected that. So it created, within the tech bubble, it created this outrage about the App Store and they charged too much. Well, the problem was you opened the app and you couldn't do anything because Apple won't allow you to click a link to go sign up. They didn't want to put a link in there to sign up because then Apple gets their 30%. You could just look at the screen, and that is one of Apple's things. When you download an app, they want you to be able to do something with it right away. Mm-hmm. So it became, and the CEO or whoever of Hey was like, oh, Apple's the worst, blah, blah, blah. He got really outraged about it. A lot of developers started complaining about the 30% cut.
They all went on podcasts and were complaining about it. Yeah.
So it's this great debate, but I don't need a new email service, especially if I have to have a new email address. I just don't. And like in Gmail, my stuff filters between promotions and, the different categories, social. So I have a lot of that built in. Or if you use like Outlook or the Mail app, you can have stuff filtered. So it seems like a fun idea. I just do not see it taking off. People don't want to switch their email address.
Yeah, this will probably be for power users. I took a look at the video that kind of was a tutorial, and I signed up to get on the list. Of course, I'm a nobody, so
yes,
I don't have any.
Someday.
I'm not Leo Laporte. Yeah, I'm not Leo Laporte, so I have to wait in line with everybody else. But I'm intrigued to try it out. I'll try the trial. I think you get like a 7-day trial before you have to decide whether to pay or not. I think the price is $100 a year, so I mean that's not that expensive. If it can do the things they promise that it'll do. And it seemed to make sense, everything that they showed in the demo of how you can decide what gets in your inbox, what doesn't. And it seemed really powerful in a new way of looking at email, which is kind of fresh and exciting because email has not changed in forever. So maybe it'll light the fire under some of these other email clients like Gmail or even Apple's own mail application to see if we can maybe start innovating and add a few more features that will help make email, this 25, 30-year-old institution, maybe a little more interesting.
Yes. So and they call it the M-box, not inbox. So it stays more focused, which many of the other services kind of have a focused inbox type of a thing. Files kind of keep separate, and it's got some nice features. I hope Apple just buys them and incorporates it with Apple Mail stuff.
Yeah, so I think if you're intrigued at all, just go take a look at the video.
Yeah.
And it'll go through, or you can just look at their website. They hit all the highlights on their main page. So take a look at it. It's pretty neat to at least ponder doing email differently.
Yes, and they have figured it out with Apple, so they were able to get their app back on there, and it's an ongoing discussion, but the app is on iOS. It's also on Android, and they have for computer versions. And you just go to hey.com, and they paid some guy that's a friend of Leo Laporte's a lot of money for that domain name, hey.com. So they spent that, but we'll see. Hopefully, again, it'll, like many things we talk about, it'll bring competition or bring more features to other email services. I believe it was at the beginning of last week, maybe 2 weeks ago now, T-Mobile had a big outage. Yeah. Did you notice this? We both have T-Mobile for our cell service.
It did not seem to affect me, and either I wasn't getting any calls or emails at the time, or it didn't affect me. It didn't affect all users, so maybe I was one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, I did miss a call. I had a voicemail come in at like 2 p.m, and a missed call show up earlier in the day, so it wasn't out that long, but they had some issues, and they are working to prevent it from happening again.
So what did they say was the reason?
The trigger event is known to be a leased fiber circuit failure from a third-party provider in the Southeast.
So it wasn't our fault.
Yeah, this is something that happens on every mobile network, so we've worked with our vendors to build redundancy and resiliency to make sure that these type of circuit failures don't affect customers. So basically, there was a big outage on one of these fiber circuits, and it caused a lot of extra headache for T-Mobile, where usually it would be able to reroute better. But so that... Hopefully we won't see, but kind of the warning there is how easily something like this could happen and how reliant we are. The person that I missed the call from, I said, I guess T-Mobile had an outage. She said, my parents are trying to move right now, and we had trucks going back and forth and trying to find out where people are and everything, and they had T-Mobile, and so everybody was just kind of like,
Yikes.
Wait, how do we do this?
Yikes.
Send up a smoke signal. We've got something else that has been canceled. The Segway. And no, not my wonderful Segways. The other kind of Segway.
Thank goodness.
Yes, the two-wheeled Paul Blart Mall Cop devices that were, Steve Jobs himself said it would be bigger than the PC. And I know it was one of the most hyped things in a long time. They are great devices, but they just never caught on for public use. Leo Laporte, actually, this should just become the Leo Laporte podcast, but him and his wife own Segways so that they can ride around. But
there was a guy here in Sherwood for the longest time who would drive it around and do whatever. I haven't seen him for a long time. Maybe he got hit by a car or something, but he's the one guy that I ever saw driving it around.
Yeah, I'd see probably the same guy every once in a while since we don't live that too far away from each other. But I mean, there's also the thing where it's like if you're going to do outdoor transportation, maybe look at a bicycle or something that gives you exercise at the same time. Or
Well, they even have battery-powered bikes now
Yes.
that are augmented with power, so that makes riding much easier.
they also have cars now, which are really great and protect you from the rain.
Interesting. Have
Yes.
to look into that.
One more thing going out. Olympus is to exit the camera business. Olympus cameras. When I was purchasing my Canon M50, I was looking, as we do, at every single camera model, and Olympus has been in the camera business for 84 years. But they are under pressure from U.S. shareholder Value Act Capital to improve shareholder returns. So they will be disbanding their camera. So if you are a big Olympus camera fan, you probably aren't. You probably aren't a big Olympus camera fan, but if you were, that will be going away.
Yeah, this is a bummer. I think one of the guys I follow on Instagram and elsewhere, Twitter, Scott Bourne.
Oh,
who,
yes.
Speaking of Leo Laporte, was one of the guys on one of his podcasts. I believe that he's like full in on Olympus.
Yeah.
He's like one of their brand ambassadors. So I'll be interested to see what he makes of this.
That's a good point. But, yeah,
He might be
he's
out of a job.
He is an amazing nature or wildlife photographer.
Yeah.
And I think it was within the last year, he kind of was named as one of their brand guys and doing a lot of promotion for them. So
Yeah, he's
sorry,
a good guy.
Scott.
He's doing like guitar tutorials and stuff now. So maybe that's why on Twitter. So he's interesting to follow on Twitter. So
Oh, yes. I know I follow him on Instagram for his pictures because they are great.
yeah, between Olympus, Segway, Mixer, and
Google
others,
Photos.
everything is going away,
Yeah.
canceled.
Everything's being canceled this week, much like other things in our world, but we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet, so we won't delve out of our realm at this time, but we will talk about some security and privacy stories this week. In South Africa, one of their post bank, their bank card master key was stolen, and it forces...
I don't even know what this does.
So it is what all of their ATM cards are based off of. So they had to cancel and replace 12 million bank cards.
Yikes.
Yes. The breach resulted from the printing of the bank's encrypted master key in plain unencrypted digital language at the Postbank's old data center in the Pretoria city center. So somebody printed off this master key, and it was stolen by employees. And so they had to go ahead. So $3.2 million in fraudulent transactions before the theft was discovered. And replacing all the cards, if you thought $3.2 million was a lot, replacing the cards will cost an estimated $58 million.
Wow,
Oops.
you're only as good as your weakest link.
Yeah.
And I guess the employees were the weak link in this
Yes,
chain.
and whoever
So,
hit print on that and left it laying on their desk, geez,
I can't believe stuff like this happens, but
No.
it does. I remember probably a decade ago when the DVD, is either Blu-ray or DVD encryption key was discovered and printed out and leaked everywhere online. So it's like, well, there goes encryption.
Yeah. And then another story of your weakest link. A FEMA IT specialist has been charged in ID theft, tax refund fraud conspiracy. And it starts off saying, an information technology specialist at the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, was arrested last week on suspicion of hacking into the human resource databases of University of Pittsburgh Medical Center in 2014, stealing personal data on more than 65,000 employees and selling the data on the dark web.
Come on, guys. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah, bad stuff. So I don't know what the answer is on these security and privacy stories, but just be aware and know that it's probably going to happen to you. So pay attention and try to minimize your risk.
When it comes in these cases, it comes down to morality.
Yeah.
And whether you're a good person or a bad person, if you're going to do good things or bad things. And those are the hardest things to manage against, because you want to assume and make the assumption that people are trustworthy and dependable, but a lot of people aren't.
Nope, we are human beings after all. Well, our bonus odd take of the week, this will cheer everybody up. The Barcelona Opera House reopened with a concert for 2,292 plants. So with social distancing, they decided instead of opening it up to people that they would create a video and fill the opera house with plants.
Yeah, this is great. Someone was saying on one of the podcasts that, the bodies in the opera house absorb the music and reflect it in different ways. And when it's empty, it sounds empty.
Yeah.
So filling it with plants kind of helps the sound. And
yes.
It's good for the plants, and I'm sure it's good for the musicians as well.
Yeah. And they did do the please silence your mobile phones and no pictures, please announcement before beginning for all the plants to make sure they put their phones down and paid attention. So
they probably had the highest rate of acceptability on that announcement than they've ever had before.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, you know what always has a high rate of acceptability? Our picks of the week.
So my pick this week is very near and dear to my heart, because I have spent years looking for a tiny menu bar item that will simply show me a calendar so that I don't have to open up the calendar application or anything like that. And I run a Mac at home, so this is a Mac only pick. Apologies to the PC users out there, but there are many options for PC users out there as well. But in your menu bar, you've got your clock, you've got your whatever. And actually on PC, I think if you click the date in the bottom, doesn't it bring up a little calendar window?
So.
Yeah, so you don't even need anything on a PC. Well, the Mac, about the best you can do is get the date, the day of the week, and the time with hours, minutes, seconds in your menu bar. That's it. You get today's date. And, that's nice to know what today's date is. But if I'm filling out a time card, or if there's an event coming up and I just want to look at something quickly, you need better access to a calendar. So I've searched far and wide over the years looking for something. And for a while I used Fantastical, but it's a paid app. And then they went to a subscription model and blah, blah, blah. My friends, check out Itsycal, Itsycal from Mowgli.com. This little menu bar application simply puts the date as you want it to be rendered in your menu bar. And when you click on it, it'll do a nice little drop down that shows the current month, shows what day you were on. And if you have it connected to your calendar, beneath that, it'll show you a list of upcoming engagements, and that can be customized. You can look at just tomorrow or today, or you can say, give me my week. It's very configurable. You can do dark mode, light mode, whatever, and it's free. You can download it and use it absolutely free. There is a PayPal link or Patreon, something on the website if you want to donate to the cause. But this guy at Mowgli.com, I think it's just a one-man operation. He has a couple different applications. But if you're looking for a menu bar calendar, as far as I have found, this is the best one.
Yeah. No, I just installed it. This is great. This is something that I can definitely use all the time. I'll keep my Google Calendar open in a tab in my web browser so I can click over, but just to have that quick look. Another game he has is SNK, which is Snake, where it's another menu bar app, it looks like, where it's just a simple snake game. So
you go eat the little block.
Fun stuff. That's really cool. That's a great pick. Well, my pick of the week this week, I'm going for it. My TCL 55-inch Roku 4K UHD HDR Smart TV model number 55S425. I've had it for a couple weeks now, and I was looking at higher end TVs, and I saw an article over the weekend from Thrifter, I believe, saying that this was the best TV under $500. And I'll put a link to Target where I got it. It was $300. Then I got a little bit more off. But for $300, if you need to upgrade your TV, looking at the holistic cost, I would be hard-pressed for a reason to buy a more expensive TV.
Yeah, it seems like it has all the features. It has the built-in apps if you don't have an external device like an Apple TV. It's 4K resolution, so it's nice and high res, and it's 55 inches big.
Yeah.
That's enormous. That's huge.
And they do have a couple other sizes as well, but this is the 4 series, and I was looking at the 6 series, but I'm glad I went for this, saved myself, at least $200 off the price of that one. And
you can upgrade later. You've saved a couple $100, so if 2 or 3 years from now, you're like, something better's out, you've saved yourself a couple $100 being wasted.
Yes.
So, this is great. I'm not in the market right at the moment for a new TV, but I am curious to see, did you ever get the 4K Apple TV to hook up? How does that look on there?
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, I've got the 4K Apple TV. When I wake up the Apple TV, it turns on the TV, automatically connects to the Apple TV because that's what we use for everything. The Roku stuff works great. If you've ever used Roku, it's got a Roku built into it. Everything works really great, and that's neat. I'm very happy with it. It was long overdue for a new TV, and I'm glad with the decision I made. So, if you're looking for a budget TV, and I don't know why you would necessarily need anything better than this. It's really full featured and a great value.
Yeah, I think your choices are something like this, or the price goes way up to over $1,000 for something like an OLED or a quantum OLED, whatever type fancy technology they have. So for this price, I don't think you're going to beat it.
Nope, no. Well, our Ramazon purchase of the week. We love it when you guys use our Amazon affiliate links, amazon.notnerd.com, or any of the Amazon links that we do. We get a little kickback, and I look through the anonymous reports. Now, Dave, I know you've been working a lot on your backyard, but I do not know if this was something you needed. The Sunjo HJ605cc cordless 2-in-1 grass shear and hedge trimmer with extension pole.
Now, that sounds like a fantastic piece of gear. I currently have no hedges, and my backyard consists of mainly dirt with a few little pieces of straw, and that's it. So it's completely a blank canvas.
Yes. Well, I'm going to send you a picture. So this is a little cordless 2-in-1 grass shear and hedge trimmer. So it's got a bunch of different attachments. I'm trying to find a picture that actually shows you all of the options that come with it, but it's got an extender pole, so if you need to hold it up and trim some trees, or if you just want to stand upright and not bend over and ruin your back all day long. Versatile, best used for small gardens, hedge grooming, and areas your mower cannot reach. Battery life, long life, rechargeable lithium-ion battery. The extension pole, we've got you covered. It does have 4 stars on 446 ratings on Amazon. Dave, what would you pay?
Wow, that's quite the rig. It looks like a large hair grooming kit.
Yes. I finally cut my hair the other day after probably 4 months, and so yes, this picture did remind me of my hair clippers.
Well, I don't buy a lot of this stuff, so I'm probably going to be off, but I'm going to say this is something in the neighborhood of like $69.95 is what I'm going to guess.
Wow. Well, it was $45.99, but it is $42.22 with free delivery.
These people need to start charging more for their products because I've been going high.
Yeah. You are a big spender over there.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like those politicians where they ask them, what is the price of Coke? And they're like, I don't know, $27 or something like that.
Yes.
I just feel so out of touch.
Yes. And we did hear from Elliot in Australia that the Gerber field dress kit was him, the knife set that we talked about. And he was having his parents buy it here and then bring it over as a gift if the import department is listening, so that he would have that. So we figured it was him, but we were wondering why it was ordered here, and now we know the answer to that.
Yeah, and if anybody could use a field dress kit, it would be Elliot.
Yes.
And I tell you what, folks, you are missing out if you've not received a FaceTime call from Elliot when he's out hunting. Is that the coolest thing in the world? He'll be out in the bush with a bow and arrow and connect with you on FaceTime, and it's like I can't believe I'm in the middle of the Australian outback hunting with Elliot sitting from my chair. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Technology these days. So thank you all for shopping through the Amazon link. That does help us pay for the few fees we do have to keep this podcast coming at you. And with that, we are going to wrap up another lovely episode of the podcast. So get out there and tech better. So this is what get emotional.
So what about the...
Oh, geez, no, I
Other-
skipped everything. Wrong answer.
so it's nice and so it's nice and high res.
This should come to